In 1956, there were 12,000 drive-ins in America. 95% of those are dead. And yet there are native Indians, the Crankaway Indians of Texas, who believe there is a spirit that lives on in these decayed temples where Americans once worshiped. They call it Wiskavanaha, or the spirit of blood, breasts, and beasts, or the 3 Bs. What you are about to witness is a summoning of that spirit, a return to a part of the American heritage that has all but vanished. It's a heritage of drive-in movies, controversial movies, groundbreaking movies, the weird, the offbeat, the strange, and most of all, the sleazy. You are about to experience one of the sleaziest movies in the history of the world.
You know, I don't know about you, but when I see a sight like this along the American highway, I get kind of steamed. You know, there's not even any place where you can watch the classic movies anymore. Movies like Please Don't Eat My Mother and Gas Pump Girls and Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS. And, you know, if they were to make Blood-Sucking Freaks today, who knows if anybody would even get a chance to see it. Not to mention the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. At least Saw is still the king after all these years, but I'm determined to do more than that. This series will bring you more than 1,000 of the sleaziest drive-in movies ever released. And this project, at our current rate of release, will be finished in the year 2116. But see, that's how dedicated we are to the preservation of the American drive-in. Kind of makes you sick, don't it? All right, this is my place. This is where I live. Welcome to it. More important, this is the headquarters of the most important educational project going on in this country today. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the sleaziest movies in the history of the world. And tonight we're going back to 1968 and continuing our tribute to the wild man of the 60s, the father of the splatter movie, Mr. Herschell Gordon Lewis, the man who made Blood Feast in 1963, a movie so violent and so full of gore that people went bonkers and puked all over their girlfriends. But 5 years after Blood Feast, Herschell was searching for a new, more mature artistic vision. He wanted to finally make a movie that used to the fullest his PhD in psychology, and the result is She-Devils on Wheels, the second biggest money-making film that Herschell ever made. It's the sensitive story of a woman biker gang that uses men like dirt and forces them to have sex all night and then throws them away like dirty trash in the morning. You probably remember how popular biker flicks were in the 60s. You know, we had Wild Angels and Hell's Angels on Wheels, and we had a whole lot of biker flicks starring Bruce Dern and Jack Nicholson, and of course the most famous one of all was Easy Rider. But Herschell, as usual, was looking for some way to be different, and so he made the first movie about an all-female biker gang. And to find women who could ride bikes, he ran an ad in the Miami paper because he figured, well, it's easier to teach a biker how to act than to find an actress and teach her how to ride a bike. And he was right about that. So what he ended up with was a whole lot of women who were actually in this biker gang called the Cutthroats. They were part of the Iron Cross gang out of Miami, and these gals were tougher than a 50-cent steak. In fact, let me show you what I got here. This is something that I keep on the wall here. This is an amazing thing. This is an actual piece of human skin from the arm of Queenie. She's the head of the biker gang in the movie, the one that looks like a dump truck with legs. And one night, Queenie got drunk and she cut off a hunk of her arm. Now, you know, that's weird, but she thought she was cutting off a hunk of her girlfriend's arm, but she's so tough that she didn't notice it for 3 days. That's how serious these gals were about their work. And actually, this is one of Herschell's better movies, too. The camera doesn't shake or anything in it. The story kind of makes sense. You know, it was made to be a second feature. Most of Herschell's movies were made as second features. And if you were the owner of a drive-in, you could like buy one movie for your regular feature at the regular price, and then for an extra $50, you could get one of the Hirschman's flicks to make people think they were getting a good value for their money. And they were sometimes, because She-Devils on Wheels was the second feature behind the movie Born Losers. Remember that? Another biker picture. You probably remember Born Losers as the movie that introduced Tom Laughlin as Billy Jack. Now, Billy Jack was a biker before he went out to New Mexico and started kung fu-ing people for the hippie movement. You know all about that, but not many people remember it. Anyway, this is one of my personal favorite Herschell Gordon Lewis movies ever made. It was shot almost entirely at an abandoned airport called Amelia Earhart Field in South Florida. And this movie also has some of the best dialogue ever written for the drive-in screen, including the slogan of the Man-Eaters biker gang, which is sex, guts, blood, and all men are mothers. And then they all cheer every time they say that. It's a great movie. I think you're going to enjoy it. Kind of a romantic comedy, I would say. You'll really love this. Is that a great movie or what? Those girls are so mean that they steal Cokes out of the hands of little girls. And by the way, that catchy theme song that they had, We Are the Hellcats, that was also written by Herschell Gordon Lewis. I know on the screen credits it says words by Sheldon Seymour and music by Robert Lewis, but Sheldon Seymour was this fake name that Herschell used whenever he wanted it to look like the movie was made by more than one person, and Robert Lewis is Herschell's son, so it's a musical family. But the actual dialogue in that movie was written by this woman named Louise Down, who also wrote a lot of Blood Feast, and she based a lot of that dialogue on her experiences as a probation officer in Miami. So some of my favorite lines are like, "We treat men like slabs of meat hanging on a rack at a butcher shop." That's a great line. And how about this one? "Go fumigate yourself, craphead." And I guess it was Queenie who kept talking about doing the bedtime boogaloo. I don't think any man would want to do the bedtime boogaloo with Queenie, but we included this movie in the sleaziest movies in the history of the world, mainly for the ladies in our audience. I'm sure you gals agree after watching this flick that it puts you in kind of a romantic mood. You know, makes you want to call up that special someone you've been thinking about and tell them that they have two choices: either get in the stud line and get raped by an ugly lesbian-looking tattooed lady, or else get chained up and dragged around behind a motorcycle. You know, you can kill a whole weekend doing this stuff. So this was the first of two gang pictures that Herschell made. And in fact, he made the two pictures back to back, used the same cast, same screenwriter. And the other one is even a better picture. It's called Just for the Hell of It, number 368 in our series, if you're following along. But that's another story. So I'll leave you now with these immortal lines from the Man-Eaters theme song. Goes like this: "We don't owe nobody nothing, and we don't make no deals. We're swinging chicks on motors. We're man-eaters on wheels." I'm Joe Bob Briggs reminding you that they just don't write music like that anymore. The falcon is molted, the fat man bowls alone, but the drive-in will never die.